All right.
Mario,
How are you?
doing good. How are you?
Awesome. Really good. So we got our new podcast studio here, rocking. Super excited about it.
Me too.
My name is Mario Milanovic, and this is Stefan Katanic.
Hello, hello.
He is the CEO and founder of Veza Digital. And today we're going to be...
And your co-host.
I'm the co-host. No, he's the co-host.
I'm your co-host, yeah.
We're both co-hosts. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about Veza Digital and a little bit about the podcasts that we've been doing and planning on doing, and some of the guests that we're going to have on, and some of the guests that we had on, and kind of why we're doing this, and a little bit about you, Stefan, a little bit about the agency, a little bit of myself, and let's have fun and talk about Veza Digital and the world.
Let's do it. You know, it's crazy that in a matter of like less than a month, we got this whole place set up. Microphones, tables, furniture, insulation, carpets, all the tech, all the gear, and it's nice to know when you have an idea that you have a team behind you that can like execute quickly on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been great. I mean, we started the podcast like 2-3 months ago now.
Yeah, 2 months ago.
Yeah,
About 2
and
months
I was in Thailand doing it there, which was a little bit challenging actually, but we pulled it off. And we have an amazing podcast manager, Aziz, and he's done hundreds and hundreds of podcasts, so his experience is super valuable. And some of the guests we've had on are just like, wow, you know, I was surprised. And it's so amazing to talk to some of these people and get some of their experiences and wisdom for our guests and also for ourselves as well. I think it's really, really beneficial for us. But before we talk about that, let's go back into, Stefan 1.0 and see how you started the company and why you started the company and all that. So a little bit of a biography, I suppose, about like, when you did it and how you did it and why you did it, all that.
Got you. Yeah, so Stefan 1.0, damn, like I gotta think back now. It's like if I just look at the past year, I have so many reference experiences, right? I'm 30 in April next month, and the last year from like, when I turned 29 to now when I'm turning April, looking at this experience in the last year, I've had like, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but generally everything was positive, right? And I usually around my birthday, I like to look back and see how far I've come. I like to see like what I've accomplished, what I fucked up on, what I'm doing good, what can I improve? And I just look at myself. It's my new year, my personal new year, right? And so Stefan 1.0, man, I can't even think. Let me go way back. So I was 21 years old, right? And I was working at Audi. Best job of my life. If I were to have any job ever again, I would work at Audi. I was driving Porsches in the daily, Audi R8s, top of the line cars, doing deliveries for clients, gassing up cars. I remember one day I was working in the shop, right? And Chris Pfaff, who's like the founder of Pfaff Automotive Group.
Yeah, I know them, yeah.
He pulled in his Porsche Carrera 4S, the bronze edition, one of 3 in the world. It had bronze rims, bronze paint job. The interior was all done in like oak and like a bronze. And I looked at that car when he pulled in. I'm just like, my mouth dropped because I'm like, man, what would it take for me to drive a car like this? Yeah. Right. And then I go to Chris. I'm like, hey, Chris, does it need a little wash and gas? He looks at me and turns around, pauses for a good 2 seconds. He's like, yeah, I can use some gas. Right. And he just threw me the keys and I caught it like this. Boom. Like in a movie. I step into the car. I'm trying to figure out now how to turn it on, right? Because it's not like the regular Porsches. It's like a racing edition. So it's on the steering wheel. Hold the brake, hit the steering wheel, and you just hear the brum. I look at the gas, and usually there's like 10 dots there, right? It had 9 dots. So it was pretty much full, but he knew. He's like, sure. Yeah, he likes the car. He wants to drive it. He wants to go and experience it. Right. So took it to the gas station. I just had a thrill. Like I'm just like, pedal to the metal, go all the way down, and like that adrenaline that I had, right? And I'm like, man, this car costs like $300,000. Like what would it take for me to drive a car like this? Right. And I love cars. Like cars are one of the things that I really love. I love racing. I love the automotive mind and engineering that goes into building a really good car. And this too. I'm a big fan of cars, right? So as I was driving there, I'm thinking like, you know what? Me making $12 an hour working as a porter at Audi is good. It's good for the fun. It's good for this kind of inspiration to see how people build it. And shortly after that moment, I started to go into my own thing, right? So looking at ways to make money on the side, whether it was, selling used bearings, right? From one company to another company. Did that for a short time, and then made some decent money, a couple $1,000 a month. 21 was a pretty good side gig.
Cool.
After that, I got into, network marketing. That's where I learned how to network with people. That's where I learned how to mingle and get to know things. And that's actually at 21, 22 years of age. That's when I started my own like personal development journey, right? So at that time, I was already in fitness. I've been working out now for the last 12 years, 13 years, right? So I was still in fitness. I took it more seriously at 22. I started playing more sports. I started getting out there, reading more books, just reading, getting knowledge, right? Experience, meeting people. And I tried everything from network marketing to different network marketing companies to selling insurance. Did I tell you about that?
Nope.
I didn't tell you about that.
Nope.
Wow. Okay. So here's a good story. Now I'm 23. And you know what in the US, they call it the Series 7?
Yep.
In Ontario, they call it the CSC, Canadian Securities Course, right? So I went for my Canadian Securities course. I went for my LLQP, Life License Qualification Program, to sell insurance and investments. So I did that for about 6 months. It was the most challenging exam of my life. I failed 7 times. On my 8th time, I got it, right? And then I started selling insurance from Manulife Financial, Sun Life, all these different things, investments. And yeah, I sold a couple things. I still get paid for them today, which is amazing for life insurance. You sell it once and you get paid like a residual every single year for the renewals. So I have it's not much, a couple $100 a year, but it's like, it's money in the bank. It's lunch money, whatever you want to call it, So that's really where I got involved in just like working for myself and building my own thing. And then I really liked finance. I really liked how I was developing as a person in that space, because I saw there's opportunity everywhere. People are so clueless of like how money works, right? And how to manage money, how intricate money is, how transactions are not really transactions unless they're cash, which is the truest form of transactions.
Totally.
And like delving into that to understand how the banking system in America works, to understanding how companies work, to understanding like, if I send you, $100, if I pay you for a service, I'm using my credit card, you're not getting $100.
Sure.
You're getting much less $100. Then you got to send that money to someone. So you're $100, that lifeline of that bill on a screen, actually by the time it gets circled around like a hood thought, it ends up being like $5. So it's crazy how the money system works. And then that inspired me to go work at like some tech company, to go see that works in finance, that worked in fintech. And then I got involved in this fintech company called Overbond. And that was a shit show. Like that was crazy, man. I got some stories that we can talk about offline, but that was a good learning experience. Let's put it that way, and that's where I learned like to do the online marketing stuff. And then I started my own online company while I was working there, also in finance, doing Forex trading and stock trading, how to pick different investments, how to do these things. We built algorithms, we built bots, we did all these cool things. And I was an affiliate for Questrade. Do you remember Questrade?
I heard the name.
They're an OTC brokerage in Toronto. And so I used to basically have everyone sign up to an account over there. I would collect like a residual. We'd have this like risk management platform that got coded online, where someone would put like their income, what their ideal revenue they wanted from trading, and basically compounding, how much they're willing to make, how much they're willing to lose. And it would say, this is your risk management profile. This tool here is going to help you manage your finances, manage your investments. But to get this tool, you have to sign up to Questrade. Right. And so that was the I guess the call to action there. Right.
Yeah,
and so learned that, made some pretty good money. I remember at my peak at Trading Group, I was doing $45K a month.
Amazing.
And I was like 24 years old, 23 years old.
Crazy.
It was amazing. And then what happened was Stripe came in, right, with the education that we were doing the subscription, and they canceled our account because we were known as online gambling, trading, all these things. So we then we lost all of our monthly recurring revenue. We had to switch to fucking PayPal, man, which is the worst one out of all of them. And then like doing manual payments, sending money here, doing this. And it was just like, fuck, is it really worth it?
Right.
And then me and my partners had everyone wanted to go do their own separate thing. And so be it. I got back into consulting for people, mostly fintech companies and tech companies in Toronto, made a good name for myself, hosted events, workshops, all these things. That's a business level, right? Personally, outside of work, like I was living it up, man. I was traveling. I had a good group of friends. My brothers were always with me doing fun stuff.
Weren't you also a DJ?
I was a DJ. That was before everything.
Oh, wow.
Before all of that was DJ. I used to wreck it back in the day in Toronto. Like even when I was a DJ, I was DJing at all the best clubs in Toronto. I was opening for all the top DJs. Tiesto, Dzeko and Torres.
Amazing.
Shout out to Dzeko and Torres.
Yeah.
Afrojack, open up for him.
Yeah.
At Circa nightclub at Government.
Right.
Remember Gov?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gov love.
Yeah.
Circa, Lot 332. All these like amazing clubs in Toronto, you know.
Right.
And so I made a name for myself. I got bored of it after a while because it was always the same shit. You know, you're mixing other people's music.
Yeah.
But I think in a chapter or two from now, from today, maybe in about two or 3 years from now, I'm gonna get back into DJing, but I'm gonna get back to the producer side.
Awesome.
I'm gonna make my own music.
Nice.
And I'm gonna go more like the hip hop / tech route and mix the two beats and make a fusion of it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's at a high level, man. And then Veza Digital, that started, I mean, it started technically 7 years ago.
Okay.
6 years ago, right? As a glorified marketing consultant, did that, made some good money, made some really good connections more than the money. Fuck the money. Like,
so about 2015?
2015, 2016 was really when it, 2016, 2017 actually is really when it started. And then we were doing stuff in crypto. We were doing stuff in like these tech companies, service companies. It was good. You know, like I was learning a lot. Like I didn't really put money as a primary motivation, just experience. And I gained so much experience because I was around people that are older than me, you know, like, yeah, like I was around, like I'm 25 now. So I was around 25, 26. I was around like millionaires, entrepreneurs, playboys, people who know the nightlife thing.
Yeah.
Like any kind of persona you can imagine, I was around that. So like I got the best of everyone.
Right.
And I tried to apply it to my own character and try to learn from it, you know. And so I saw everyone around me as a key person I could learn something from. But I always gave value. That's a thing, right? I was never the kind of person that just take. I would always like, you know, give some sort of value, whether it's something as simple as giving him a ride home.
Sure.
Right? To like going out for lunch, doing stuff like that, right? And showing that I'm useful. Because like when you're in a room with like, you know, I don't want to say millionaire now, I think we're past that point, but a billionaire, what kind of value are you giving to the person?
Sure, the guy's got everything.
Right? So it's like, what can you give him?
Exactly.
Right?
So, and I think that's what a huge thing that people forget these days. It's, you know, people talk about giving value, but do they actually, right? And I think when you actually genuinely care about the person or the business or anybody and try to find ways for them to get value, whether it's monetary, whether it's your time, whether it's a ride or something, I think that's when real relationships get formed. And that's when people, you know, establish trust. And that's something that, you know, at Veza Digital, for example, you know, that's what we try to do all the time, right? Because you can get bogged down by just, you know, providing a service, you know, but I think it's also important to provide more than that, right? And when people sense and know that you care about them, you know, then it's a different relationship and then it's a different ball game, right? So I think that's something that, you know, we're really good at, right? So I think that your background is because of that, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, you know, you look at it today and you look at Veza Digital and we have over 60 employees now. I think that it's, you know, it's a bigger company, medium size, whatever. And that's what separates us from all the other players, right?
Right.
You know, so that's really cool. Okay. So now you're 25, 26, 27 and
this is where it starts to get fun.
Yeah.
This is where it starts to get fun. So at this point now I'm 26, 27 years old. And you know what? It's true. Like by the time you don't know yourself until you're like 25, 26, right? You know, at this point you got experience, you know what you like, you know what you don't like. And, you know, you built your value to a point where it's like, you know, you look at the people around you and you want to now bring others up around you, right? So it's like, you know what you accomplished in the last 5 years, 6 years, whatever it was, and what you were capable of, help other people as well, right? And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start assembling my crew. I'm going to start assembling all the players around me, you know, people I can trust, people that I love, people that I want the best thing for, right? And so I started having that kind of mindset. And so this is now, I'm 27. So 27, at this point I moved to Serbia, right? So I moved to Belgrade, but I didn't have the intention to stay. I'm like, you know what? Let me go for 6 months. Let me see what's good in Belgrade, hang out with family, see some friends, get exposed to the lifestyle more, right? But before this, I had the intention to go to Dubai. I'm like, let me go to Serbia and then go to Dubai and see what happens over there and you know, feel things out, see what the audience is like. So I moved to Serbia. I get set up here and I'm still doing the online work, right? I'm doing marketing consulting. I'm thinking about ways to, you know, scale myself and double myself. And it's funny because I was talking to this one real estate company in Toronto that we were working for, and they're talking about their competitors, right? It's this big online marketplace for condominiums in Canada, right? And he's like, yeah, they get all of their marketing and development in Serbia. I'm like, really? Tell me more about that. And he's just like, yeah, in a city in Novi Sad, they have like a whole team of people managing the website, building everything, doing the marketing, literally everything turnkey, but they operate in Canada. I'm like, interesting. I'm like, I wonder why. And he told me why. I mean, it makes sense. You have a good focus of talent here. You have young people who want to change, right? Who want the best for themselves, and people who are educated, right? And it's people who want to, obviously they want to work for more money, not,
And they speak English.
and they speak English. They don't want to work a regular job here in Serbia speaking primarily Serbian, right? They want a more international exposure. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm like, interesting. This can be good, you know? So then I started looking for people to work with here in Serbia that could do small jobs for me, you know, like whether it's web design, some content campaign, advertising, whatever. And, you know, you start filtering through people. And actually, fun fact, I was talking about this with my brother the other night. He asked me, he's like, how many people did you interview in Serbia? Right? And I think I interviewed over 300 people, you know? So I have now a sense for who's got it and who doesn't have it.
Sure.
You know, and like after a while, you get to like filter people out.
Yeah.
You know, like you just know from like how they talk, how they present themselves. You know, like the CV, I mean, CV is a CV. Everyone can like
doesn't
bullshit a
mean
CV. It doesn't mean much.
Right.
And so 2017, I'm here. I got set up, making money, and I flew back to Toronto in November, December. Hit up Jamal. I'm like, yo, Jamal, coming to Serbia. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's get it. Let's crush it. New life, new beginnings, all that stuff. And when I say new beginnings, it was actually new beginnings because a month after, actually not even a month after, 2 weeks after we came back to Belgrade, COVID happened. Lockdowns happened. Restrictions happened. All these things happened that we thought was going to last a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, whatever. And now we're chilling in Belgrade, and we're just like, should we even go back to Canada? Like, what's the point of going back?
Yep.
You know, and then shortly after that, we met you, right? And it's just like a whirlwind of things that were happening one after each other. And, you know, during COVID, obviously we were here together, you know, here in our group of friends, we're all stuck in Belgrade, not stuck, but we were enjoying Belgrade. And I'll tell you something, during COVID, we've traveled more during COVID
That's right.
than way before.
Yeah,
we had empty planes. We had 2 passports, you know, like we had
absolutely
our ways.
Yeah, I remember going to Minsk in Belarus and there was nothing there, you know, and I wanted to see for myself. I was like, you know, world is locked down up there, you know, Lukashenko is the president, is like, just go into a sauna and drink vodka. And I'm like, come on, it can't be serious. So I go there and, you know, I get to the airport, to the customs guy, and it was like straight up from the 70s, 80s, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, right? Mm-hmm. You know, the hat and everything like that. And the guy must have looked at my passport 10 times, you know? It was just like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And I'm just like, just hanging out, man. You know? And then I went there and there was like nothing. There was no mask. There was nobody.
Did you go with your Canadian passport or Serbian passport?
I don't remember, actually. Somebody asked me that the other day. I don't remember. I think Canadian. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was just like, you know, parties, clubs are open, restaurants are open. There's no issues. There's no nothing, mm-hmm. you know? So yeah, I mean, the traveling at that time was like, you know, it was amazing, you know, like hotels were empty. It was like really cheap to go, you know, and all that kind of thing. So that was fun.
Yeah, I think during COVID, I've been to a lot of places during COVID, but the highlight place that I went to was Rome.
Right.
Rome was just like empty. Usually you see these like big cameras everywhere. You got to dodge the cameras, and it was empty. Like I was like, wow, this is amazing. You know, you feel like you're in the ancient city. Is that what they call the ancient city?
Something like that.
There's like
eternal city.
The eternal city. Yeah, you know, you're in the eternal city. You feel that Roman energy just like all around you, giving you power, giving you like faith in that, what they built, right? So that was fun. Pretty much went all around Europe. You know, it was good. Like we were living a good lifestyle here. We were living in that penthouse. Yeah, that was a really good time. Jamal, Dami, and me. You know, that was fun.
Yeah, it was a huge place. It was like 2 levels, a sauna.
There was an elevator that went to the apartment.
Yeah, elevator. I mean, it was pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, we had some good parties there too.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Bootstrapping
in a different way. Usually when people think about bootstrapping, they think of like a little table like this and 2 cardboard boxes and laptops.
Right.
You know, we were far from that. But yeah, and that was now 27, 28, 29. That's when things really started to pick up. You know, like Veza sales just like, 5x. When I was 28 years old, I was 27, 28. That period, our sales just started working.
Right.
I was selling mostly everything, right? The deals got bigger. I got better. I just knew what people wanted, and now I go on a call with people today and it's just like, I know exactly what they want. I know their timelines.
Yep.
I know what our efforts attribute to their bottom line.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing. I think a lot of people call and they themselves don't know what they want. They know kind of what they want, but not really. And I think it's kind of like going to a new restaurant, and the waiter knows everything on the menu and stuff that's not on the menu.
Yeah.
And depending on, their budget and depending on, what kind of experience they want to have, you need to trust the waiter. If he's a professional waiter, it's kind of like here, right? A lot of times you see the professional waiters, it's like, I don't look at the menu. It's like, what do you got today? And he'll tell you, this is the fresh stuff. This is the good stuff. Have this. And in the end, everybody's happy, right? Yeah, you're going to spend a little bit more money, but your experience is 10x, right?
Yeah.
And that's really important.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love when you go to a restaurant, they tell you what to eat, they tell you when to eat it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's kind of like, it transfers into our company as well, right? Because a lot of times people are like, well, I kind of want a small website. And you're like, okay, but what are you trying to do? So it's like us helping them make more money.
Yeah,
right?
Us helping them make more money. But I think like even before that, man, like helping them understand what they want, get clarity.
Sure.
Because like I have these calls all the time. People are just saying, yeah, we want a content website. We want information. We want a design. Yeah, but what for? For what purpose?
Exactly.
Talk to me about that.
That's right.
Like mostly they know, but they know what's already being said from other people online, right? They don't truly understand what their brand is and stuff like that. And that's why people hire agencies. You hire an agency to tell you what you need, right? You say, hey, this is my problem that I'm having. This is where I want to get to. Build a bridge. Help me figure it out.
Right.
Get some momentum going.
Absolutely.
Get that energy up. Help people out. And so that's been a key driver for us. And I feel that we have to now double down on that energy that we have and how we sell these solutions to different types of clients and partners that we have. Right. Because we got a lot of things going on here, and it's all generally really good.
Sure. Yeah, it's amazing. So like, how do you, as a client, everybody shops around, obviously, right? And, if you were a client, why would you choose Veza Digital? And, because there's a lot of digital companies out there, right? What do you think makes us stand out?
Here's the thing. We're not yes men, like a lot of clients, they think they know what they want, but they don't. Right. And it's clear as day, when the scope keeps changing back and forth. Oh, we want this, but no, we actually like this, like we're not here to take directions. We're not, your marketing team. We're an extension of your marketing team with their own autonomy, right? You're hiring us for a solution. So our growth partners are knowledgeable in B2B SaaS, how to market them, how to position them, and how to deal with these different personas that we deal with on a daily level, right? So it's about our position in the market. We're here because we know the solutions. We know what people need, right? Like, think about it. If you're around 5 companies who are making millions of dollars of sales every single month and you're speaking to their CMOs and their strategies, what happens? Naturally, that growth partner understands what's working for them.
Absolutely.
That's knowledge they can use for the next client. And a lot of people don't understand that, right? They're looking at price, they're looking at value.
And that's the difference, right? Because
the difference.
Just looking at a price of a site is really stupid.
Exactly.
Right? Because you don't understand the value, right? And the value comes from what you just talked about, right? And the team and the actual company culture, so to speak, right? Because you can, let's be realistic, you can hire some guys in India or Bangladesh for $1,000 and get your site. And that's okay, right? But if you want a true brand and if you want something behind it, you really need a team of people that know what they're doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you need a team of people that know what they're doing, that know how to do it, which is important as well.
Sure.
And you need people such as the growth partners that can build trust with the client to say, listen, what we do as an agency, we build marketing websites and then we market the websites. It's very simple. That's all we do.
That's right.
We just we build the website that works, that's for marketing, and then we market it.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. We don't want to overcomplicate anything. A lot of companies, they overcomplicate. Yeah, we're going to do this one part of the project.
Sure.
Why one part of the project? You're just opening yourself up for liability, scope creep, more responsibility than what you're getting paid for.
Absolutely.
You're giving yourself the shorter end of the stick, right?
Sure.
When you can just do the full scope of the project from setup all the way to management of it and operations of it. And I think, less is more. You get stuff.
Sure. And I think it's also important to stress that, Veza doesn't work with just anybody. And, we disqualify more companies and people than we actually qualify.
Yeah.
And, can you talk a little bit about that? Like what makes a perfect client for Veza Digital?
Our perfect clients, like, yes, we say no to a lot of people, or we'll say yes to them, but we'll give it to one of our white label partners, right? Obviously, we have preferred white label partners we work with, and they get the deal, right? We like to work on that top 20% of leads that we get. These top 20% are like CMOs that know what they want. These are CMOs that understand economies of scale. These are CMOs that understand that we're hiring an expert team to tell us what to do. We're moving quicker, right? It's people that understand that speed is what makes the biggest difference in this, especially now, highly competitive market, right? How fast you move is basically, it determines everything, especially the way the world's going now in 2023. And the people that understand that speed, creativity, and applying, economies of scale at once it's a key recipe, right?
Sure.
And these CMOs that hire Veza Digital to work with them, we normally handle everything in-house, right? They give us direction, they give us confirmation this is what they want, but it's the people that understand that growth depends on speed, and the quality that comes with that speed is high with us because we've done it so many times.
Right. And I think it's really important to understand, talk about whether we are in a recession or not. I mean, we kind of are. Based on my experience, we talked about it earlier, is, the one mistake that I made scaling my companies in the past is that I didn't go 10x. Instead of 2 or 3x, I should have went 10x. And it's amazing because when everybody contracts, you need to increase your spend, you need to increase your ferocity, so to speak, right? And that's really contrary to what most people will do, most companies will do, right? And I think right now is the time for companies to just quadruple up on everything, right? Because they're going to be eating up 20, 30, 40x of all their competitors, right? And that's really, really, really important right now. You talk to any of the OGs in business, and this is the same thing that they all talk about, right? Because you're gaining market share, right, at such a crazy pace, right? And I think that we understand that, and we want to work with people that actually, or companies that understand that,
100%, 100%. I want to ask you a question in just a second, but before I get to that, I was talking to our financial controller the other day, and he told me, he's like, Steph, I'm like, yes. He's like, we gotta talk. I'm like, shit. When I say it to people, I do it in like good intentions, but when he says to the finance guy, it's like, what's happening,
Yeah.
So we sat down. He's like, Stefan, listen, we're spending a lot of money. I'm like, yeah. We're doing a PR campaign, SEO, ads, tools, all these things, hiring additional people. He's just like, that's all great. We should be expanding now. That's the whole purpose, what you said. But in order to increase our valuation and reduce the velocity of money out, we have to increase the velocity of money in. I'm just like, yeah. He's like, we have a lot of money that's owed to us on a ledger. We accept ACH payments through Stripe and through our banks. He's like, if you just cut down that time it takes for a client to pay you and you get that money in your account, we're going to have a positive balance on how much money we're spending to how much money is coming in at the speed velocity, right? So I'm like, interesting. This is why you hire smart finance people to tell you these things, right?
Yeah, that's
things
right.
you don't know. Sure. I'm just like, wow, amazing. So he did that. We just launched a new policy now. It's like, okay, we're going to take credit card payments, Amex payments through Stripe, because you paid today 10, 15 grand, 5 grand, whatever it is. Next day it's in your bank account. Yep. Yes, there's this 3.5% fee that the client pays anyways. It doesn't matter because the velocity of the money coming into us is worth much, much more than that fee that we pay on Stripe instead of ACH. So that opened up my world to, just finance and seeing how deep that goes, how to balance things out. So that was our biggest win last week, is just discovering that piece.
Sure.
And enabling that in our business to obviously increase our valuation and even out that equilibrium of money in, money out.
Totally. Yeah. Absolutely.
I have a question for you now.
Sure.
Mado, you at your peak, how much are you doing now? Revenue, profit per month?
When?
This is whenever it was like.
Revenue was probably 10 million per month.
10 million per month. So 120 million per year, right? So what activities did you do to get from 1 million a month to 10 million?
Well, I mean, we were scaling big time. So with us, it was not about people, it was about systems. Yeah. It was about technology. And this was like 2009, 2010, when really people didn't, know as much as they do today, right? So the big thing is that I had some really smart people around me. I hired really, really, really smart people. And I basically gave them unlimited abilities to make money. I didn't cap them. Also, I really cared about them, and that was a big thing, so whenever they needed something, I was there for them, right? So it was more of a family kind of situation.
Sorry to cut you off, how many employees at this point?
Maybe 5, 6.
Okay, cool. So you're small, nimble.
Totally small. Matter of fact, it was funny because I remember we went to LA and we were, we were in the affiliate business. And so we're basically at this time, traffic buyers, we became media, like top of the line media buyers, right? And so we went to Rubicon Project, which was in LA, still is. And we walked in there and it was like, wow, really intimidating. They actually used to, it was a hangar. And they used to film 24. Remember that series so they took that over after the series was canceled or whatever. Anyways, and there was like 50, 100 people just with, computers and stuff. And so we had this meeting, and it was me and my IT guy, CTO. And we were doing some big volumes, buying a lot of traffic from them. And we were sitting with the vice president.
How much traffic? What kind of traffic are we talking about?
50 million impressions a day.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot. And it was and they were pretty good at it too. So anyways, so that was one of our companies that we were buying traffic from. So we sat there and we wanted to get more traffic, because there's different tiers of traffic, right? Tier 1, tier 2, and we're willing to pay for it. So introductions to the VP and stuff, and he's like, oh, so yeah, you guys are doing a lot of traffic. How many people in your company? And at this time, I think it was like 4 of us or something. And I remember I had to lie because I was like, I felt like this, and I said 15.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and goes, 15? He goes, the amount of traffic you're buying right now, you should have at least 60 to 100 people. And I was like,
imagine you said 4.
Yeah, there was like 4.
You would have thought you're lying.
It was crazy. Why? Because our systems that we created utilized technology, right? And so that was.
Was it your own tech, or you guys bought something?
Initially, we had used just regular tracking software, and then there was limitations in it, and we had talked to the owners and said, listen, this is what we need. They couldn't do it fast enough, or willing to do it. And so, yeah, we started building our own in-house tracking software, which eventually developed into an actual DSP, demand side platform, right? Yeah. So that was really good that we actually built our, backend and everything like that. And it was really sophisticated. And so that enabled us to actually buy more traffic. And with traffic, it's all about data management. And it's also like, how do you interpret this data, right? And so we became really good at it, right? So, yeah, we scaled big time, and...
So you're doing now, at this point, you're scaling towards 10 million, or you're at 10 mil?
No, we're at 10.
You're at 10. Okay.
Right.
And what was the feeling being at 10 million compared to like 1 million? Like $10 million a month.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, about 2 million in profit.
Yeah, 2 million in profit. A lot of companies aren't even doing that.
I remember actually like thinking.
Those are like Fortune 5,000
That's
numbers.
right. Yeah, absolutely. And so I remember thinking about it and going exactly that. I'm like, man, like this is like crazy money, Yeah. Like, is this real? Yeah. I had to pinch myself, right? And I mean, look, that was a lot. I worked my ass off, We're talking 18, 19-hour days, a lot of stress, I was trying to exercise and eat. I still, it was very, very stressful. It affected my relationships and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I was all in, right? And, it was kind of scary, to tell you the truth, because once you hit, those type of numbers, you basically, you can buy anything you want. Pretty much, I remember I was shopping for a private jet. The only reason we didn't buy a private jet is because we didn't know where to take it to. We were, at that time in San Diego, and we're like, unless we get like a Boeing or something, right? Like, where can we go? So like, it was like Vegas, LA, maybe get it to Seattle, and then Miami. You have to stop in Dallas, I believe, or Houston or something like that. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like
it wasn't as convenient as now.
Well, the thing exactly depends on the location, right? You can't go to Hawaii unless you have a bigger like real, like, $60 million plane, right? So we were looking at from, 2 million to 10 million, whatever. And that's really the only reason we didn't buy it, And so, yeah, it does change the way you look at the world. That it definitely changes perspectives, And it's an interesting feeling. So it makes you realize that it's achievable, especially when you come from not really any money, middle class kind of thing, and whatever you put your mind to, so to speak, you can achieve it. You just have to have systems in place. You have to have some good people around you, and you do have to have a certain amount of luck. There's no doubt about that, right?
Definitely.
But you create your own luck in a way, right? But it was very fulfilling on one end. On the other hand, it was very scary, because
what would you say was the scariest part?
The scariest part is, like, I remember I went to Joel Robuchon on my 40th birthday in Vegas, and I wouldn't say it's scary, but I remember there was like 6-7 tables, and I don't know, like dinner there was, I don't know, anywhere from $1,000, $2,000 to whatever type of wine you get. You can go up to 100, 200 grand, I guess, right? For dinner, which we didn't do. So, they pick you up in a Rolls Royce to take you there and all this kind of stuff. And I remember sitting there, and it was maybe 6 tables. And I remember thinking, like, most likely I'm making the most money in here. And there was, people dressed and everything. It was an assumption, but based on my 80-20 principles, I kind of knew I was up there, right? It would have been fun to, like, hey, what's your net worth, It was, it's an ego thing, right? But it was that realization that I had made it, and at the same time is like, what's next? Like, what are we doing next, It's what else is there, So once you hit that, that's a scary thing, because I think everybody wants to get to this certain level of success. And then when you do, you're like, what now?
I feel like that's it.
I was 40.
Yeah.
I had everything. There was nothing I couldn't really, like, get, So that was kind of scary, because then all of a sudden now you get a little bit of a crisis in terms of, like, like whatever you want to call it. Not midlife, but some type of crisis, because what is life for, and how are we gonna handle this, and what are we doing, and all that kind of stuff. So in a way, that was, like, I wouldn't say the most scariest, but it's one of them that made you think about your life.
So then you felt like you hit your own. So you're doing now $2 million a month of profit. You're 40 years old. You're in your prime, and now you're thinking, that's it. Like,
pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much. Because how much money do you need, right?
True. True.
And so, I had 2 penthouses, I had cars, I had, we were flying first class to Paris, we're going all over the place. There was nothing really that I didn't do. I remember, I was telling the story this earlier on, a lot of the affiliate networks were trying to bribe me, and, it worked on some of them, I was getting private jet flights to the Bahamas. I was getting, front of the line tennis tickets. I really like tennis, and like everything. I had cards, these prepaid cards, we talked about earlier, right? Like preloaded with $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, and I had a stack of them, right?
Yeah.
And walking into Louis Vuitton in Paris, and I'm like, well, just get whatever you want, like it was just crazy, So it was interesting, yeah.
What would you say was your best experience?
Best experience, I think one of them was my CTO and I, we flew into JFK in New York, and we took the helicopter from JFK to downtown Manhattan. I remember approaching Manhattan, and we had set up a bunch of meetings. We were staying at the Mandarin Oriental, and we had set up these meetings. Their lobby, I believe, is on the 50th floor or something, or 40th. And so we had, it was me in a suit, and him in a little hoodie, CTO, and we had these media sellers that I set up in 30-minute intervals, and they were all competing for us, right? And so I wanted every single one of them to see that we had another meeting, right? So I set it up in 30-minute intervals. But flying into New York and that song, New York, that one, like, if you can make it anywhere, you can make, that it was just like, wow, this is like top of the heap, like helicoptering into the thing, limos picking us up. We're going to, Mandarin Oriental, which was incredible. It was just opened at the time. And that was, I have goosebumps just thinking about it right now. It was pretty cool, man. It was like amazing.
You've done everything.
Well, not really, but most
things.
Yeah, I get bored really easily, right? So it's like I like to start things and get things going, and sell them, or if it doesn't work, then you take a loss and you move on and everything. I think it's important to experience life. It's important to
Definitely.
meet as many people as possible. It's important to see what you like, what you don't like, and it changes all the time as well, right? You can't be eating vanilla every single day, right?
Yeah.
So it's nice to experiment and do things. And yeah, it does seem like a lot, but it doesn't to me. I mean, obviously, when you get in 20 years, you'll have a lot of experiences, and it feels like a different life every 5 years,
Okay.
and it's amazing because a lot of stuff I don't even remember.
Yeah.
And then we talk about it, and it's like, wow, this is like, yeah, I did this and I did that and did this, and I mean, that's what everybody's life should be like, I think, in some way, right? If you're just going to the same job every single day and you hate it, man, it's not worth it, right?
I think you're absolutely right, man, because it's like you show up every day to build something. Once that is built and dealt with, you go into the next thing, right? As people, like what else are we here to do? It's like you're here to create, you're here to do something, leave a good impression for the next generation, right? And so
Sure.
I think that's really inspiring. And so back to now your talk around, being at your high of your life. You obviously have a ton of business experience. What's it like when you talk to people that are, either just starting out or in the middle of their journey? Like, what's your sense? Everyone's got a sixth sense. What's yours? So let's say you're meeting the CEO of a software company, and he's saying, Mario, I want to grow. Do you come in and do you just know what has to get done? Do you dissect a little bit? You get into like, how do you process things now with all the experience that you have?
Well, I think it depends on where they are at, what they're trying to achieve, and how they're trying to achieve it,
Okay.
And so that's the first thing. Second thing is energy. I mean, if I jive with the person, I can help them. If I don't jive with them, there's no point in moving forward, right? And that's like kind of like we talked about. We had some clients that we just didn't jive with. That's okay.
Right.
Different visions, different everything. Right. But yeah, I mean, once you jive with the person, you can really help them a lot. Why? Because you are able to communicate properly with them, right? You can't communicate with everybody, different styles and whatnot. And then basically drawing from the experiences that I've had, and it's all about numbers. It's probability of something happening, right? As you get older and as you get more experienced, the probability of you looking at a problem in terms of numbers increases. So you can say, well, if I don't have much experience, the probability of it is maybe 20, 30%, 40. But once you have done it, let's say 10 times, you seeing the probability goes into the 80s, right? It's almost like when you said you hire somebody, eventually, when you interview 300 people, eventually the probability of you picking out somebody in the first 10 seconds increases, right? And that's the same thing, So
that makes sense, actually.
Yeah. So it's important to be authentic and honest about what you see in a company and how it's supposed to grow, because there's like this, we call it mid-level management hell. And I see it all over the place. It's crazy. It's basically like, you have, call it 5 people from the VP to the person at the bottom, let's say, right? And the person at the bottom has ideas and has the ability to make the company better. Well, they can't go to the VP. Why? Because then all these people in between are going to be pissed off, right? But if they tell the person above, are they actually going to filter all the way to the VP? So this middle, management hell is just it's a big clog in a lot of companies, right? And there's ways to go around that as well, because the efficiency decreases as you add more bodies, yeah. Right? And that's why. I mean, I'm always a big proponent of, can this problem be solved with technology? And a lot of times it can, right? It's just more efficient, and now with AI coming on board, it's incredible what it can do, right? Like, I'm pretty excited about it. Sure, there's the, the fallacies and the dangers, but let's just leave that for another 20 years or however long it's going to take, right? So I think in the meantime, there's a lot of companies that, we can help grow faster, more efficient, and with less money.
Yeah, exactly. And so now, as you move into your next phase of life, I mean, you've been in it for now, not 5 years, but 2-3 years into this new era. What are some of your goals?
Some of the goals, I think, is to provide more value to fewer people, so to speak, right? So I mean, I'd only have so much energy.
Back to your 80-20 principle.
Again, yeah, it's more like
your life's built around that, huh?
It really is, yeah. And I mean, I remember when I read the book that was written by Richard Koch, and the principle is really old. It's Pareto principle from back in the day when, you know, the Medicis hired the Italian mathematician, and they said, well, you know, why is there such a small percentage of people rich and the rest are really poor? And so, you know, Pareto went out and he designed the 80-20 principle. And Richard Koch, who I have met in Chicago, actually, really brilliant mind. He basically wrote this book, and I was obsessed with it. I remember I was in South Africa, in Cape Town, and I think I read it 50 times. I was obsessed with it. You know, I mean, when you look at this copy, it's like, you know, notes everywhere. It's got markups. It's crazy, right? And so I'm like, okay, great. Well, this sounds like a life hack, right? And eventually, I became overly obsessed with it to the point where I was picking friends based on that, and I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy, you know? So I had to step away from it, you know. It almost gave me a kind of like a, you know, OCD feeling and everything like this, right? So I think now it's, providing the most value to the people that I care about, and being able to, you know, live anywhere I want to, which really I've been doing for the last 20 years, but in a more happier way, so to speak, right? You know, it's like, how do we provide value at the same time? How do you teach, and how do you you know, achieve you know, financial stability? What's financial stability these days, right? Like, there's a lot of things going on right now. You know, the US dollar, you know, there's this, there's that. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of crypto, as you know, and I think that is the future. When is it going to happen and everything? It could happen tomorrow. It can happen in 20 years, probably less. And you know, the world is changing. It's scary, but it's also exciting. You know, things are switching from the west to the east, and all that, right? So dynamics are changing. I think you can look at the bad things in the world, and I can look at the good things in the world, and I think there's a lot of good things still. You know, and if we stay positive and care about each other and provide value, I think we're gonna be okay, right?
Definitely. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. And so now, even for what we're doing at Veza, you know, some of our goals that we obviously have this amazing podcast that we're talking right now, that we have our sister companies, White Label Agency, and then we have Veza White Label Marketplace and Veza Digital. So even for me now, it's like, I've gotten to the point where if I look at myself, you asked me, like, you know, earlier, like, if I look at myself when I was 27, so 3 years ago, the kind of work I was doing, the kind of work I'm doing right now. So the work I do now, I know the decisions I make today are going to have an effect a quarter from now or 2 quarters from now. You know, so it's like, I'm thinking more long term. I'm doing a lot more things. Last Monday, was it last Monday? When did the SVB thing happen? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
So, okay, so 2 weeks ago, Monday, I'm overseas, right? So I'm in where was I at the point? Ocala. And what happened is, I'm reading about this whole SVB thing. My bank emails me saying, "Hi, Stefan. As you're aware, SVB has, you know, declared bankruptcy. This is what's happening. We've been exposed to this." I'm just like, fuck. You know, I got hundreds of thousands of dollars there through Veza Digital's money on there through that bank.
Yep.
Right. And I'm just like, shit. But luckily, it was only one of the banks they had. Right. But they had some sort of exposure, some sort of losses that happened because FDIC only covered so much money. The rest was there. Yep. 250, right? And so it's Monday. I'm on a client on site. I have sales that are like sales calls that I'm not doing, that my sales team's doing. I have a client fire that I'm putting out because no account manager or growth partner is available for some reason. And it's Monday. I have hundreds of thousands of dollars on a bank that's exposed to bankruptcy. So I'm putting out 5 different fires at the same time while on a client on site. By the way, this client is not an easy client, you know? Yeah. So here I am on my phone. I'm on my phone, moving money, hundreds of thousands here. This sale closed. I'm like, oh, great. Let's get this money deposited to this bank account. I'm calling JP Morgan Chase to open up a business commercial account over there. Yes, make an appointment, long process, whatever. I'm reaching out to our financial controller and our other finance director saying, hey, we got to start moving money. Let's get this out ASAP, Rocky. Drop everything you're doing. Move the money. Let's get this organized, right? So we ended up moving. Now we have 18 different bank accounts across different banks. I'm still waiting for JP Morgan Chase to get back to me for that commercial bank account, which we're going to set up really soon. We created a new sustainability policy for Q2, right? That's going to keep us to have our own treasury account should anything happen. So we don't have to divert our investments away from where they're going, just so we're secure. You know,
Sure.
I still want to work at Veza. I still want to
Absolutely
invest in PR and SEO and ads and all these things, right? And so it's crazy. In one day, I did the work of like 10 people.
Yep.
I feel good.
That's
to
right.
me, it's just working in the office, you know, putting out fires. I'm a firefighter.
And that's what it takes.
do.
And I think that's like a lot of things that people don't realize is when you are starting your company, there is things that you cannot even imagine that you do. And you just do it because you have to.
You have to do it.
You have employees, you have responsibilities, you have a lot of things, you know. It's kind of like going to the gym and saying, I'm going to do 10 reps and you do 6,000 reps. Yeah. If you had to do it, you would do it.
You would do it 100%.
You would find a way, right? And that's the difference, right?
Or it's like you're going to the gym. Either you count or you don't count. You do it until it hurts. I work until it hurts.
Right.
My version of hurting is getting really sleepy and really tired. And I just like pass out and I wake up the next morning ready to crush it again.
Yeah.
But for me, like, you know what a good thing for me is? It's like if I can balance out my life to the point where, you know, I'm working out, I have time for friends, I have time for family, and I can work on my business. To me, it's perfect. Yep. You know, like the thing is though, I'm always working. I'm always thinking about what my next move is going to be, right? I'm always thinking how to connect the dots and how to make it work. But I still have fun. You know better than anyone else. I still have my fun. I still have my time away from work where I can, you know, not think about Veza, not have to work for those couple hours and just be fully focused and immersed in like what we're doing at that very moment in life. Sure. Right. So yeah, for me now, like this year is really important in terms of like these 3 different divisions we have and focusing on those, obviously growing our sales. That's really important. Increasing our profit, making us more sustainable is really the key here, because whatever's coming, you know, in 2023, 2024, I want us to be ready to take that hit, but I also want us to be ready to use that extra money and capital that we have so we can now, what you said earlier, take more market share, reinvest more of our money back into the market while all these other agencies and startups are pulling their money back, cutting their marketing spend, letting go of people. Yeah. I want to do the exact opposite. I want to flip the switch, increase our market share, and just like, you know, geometrically grow.
Yeah, I think I remember this one time. This was, I think, 2008, that, you know, when the banks failed in the US. And I remember somebody saying something about, oh my God, the economy is so bad.
Was this back when you were doing the real estate thing too?
Yeah.
Or was this after?
Yeah. No, this was, I had a large real estate portfolio. And so 2008. And I remember somebody saying, oh my God, you know, the economy is so bad and all this, there's a recession. And I said, well, I have my own economy. In my economy, there is no recession. Mm-hmm. And that was really, like, I just came up with it, you know, and that's exactly true. You have your own economy and then there's somebody else's economy, right? There's the economy, right? Well, nobody's going to determine my economy. My economy either works or it doesn't work, you know? And if I want it to work, it's going to be a good economy, right? But if I choose to follow what people, you know, some bureaucrat says about, oh, well, we're in a recession, I don't care. Mm-hmm. You know, like, does it affect my company? Maybe, but I don't want to deal with those companies, right? You know, so you have your own economy and you work your own economy, you increase it, and you attract other economies that are working, and eventually, like, it doesn't really matter, you know. So it's like, again, there's charts going back to 1921, I believe, right? When is the most money ever made? It's in 1929.
Did you see that chart I sent you?
Yeah, I did.
The ups and downs?
Exactly, right? So it's like, when there's a bottom, that's when you make the majority of your gains, you know, in every way possible, you know, and it's contrary to what you would want to do, right? It's like, oh my God, there's a recession, let's not spend as much money. No, now is the time to spend more money, you know? And when things are really good, that's when you kind of take a step back and say, okay, let's reanalyze this, right? You know?
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And like, I always see it as, you know, like, I like to feel the change. I like to feel that we're making progress. I like to feel that, you know, people's energy are getting more motivated, that there's a level of momentum hitting inertia where we're all moving forward, right? Like, the best way to put it is like when you're speeding down the highway in a Ferrari and you're accelerating, you know, from 60 kilometers an hour to 316 kilometers an hour, that feeling, that adrenaline, that's what's hyped. Once you hit 316 kilometers an hour, you're just like,
you don't feel anything.
That's it. What's all the fun about? You know, it's that acceleration. I like to feel that.
And that's basically what's called living in the present moment, right?
Exactly.
You know,
living in the present moment.
That's a huge thing as well.
And when these companies now are downsizing, they're putting that bitch in reverse and going.
That's right. Absolutely.
Where we got to do the opposite.
Yeah.
And so that's how I see this year going for me. But I want to avoid making big decisions in terms of like raising capital, in terms of how company foundational structures are going to happen. These decisions I'm holding off up until January, maybe end of January when we're in Dubai. That's actually a decision I made though. But this was last year's decision, was November 1st. I'll be moving to Dubai for about 6 months, establish a base over there. I think it's a really good place to be. I think it's the city of the future. It's ultra modern. It's super safe. We can walk around with whatever watch we want and we'll be safe. Not like Toronto or like London, God forbid you're there with a watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great strategy. I think from a company perspective, a strategy that allows you to, stack some money and also take your processes and refine them, is a really, really good strategy. It doesn't mean we're not growing. We're growing, but we're not growing at 10x. We're growing at 6x.
Yeah.
Right. And that allows you to, really, really see how everything is working. And the great thing that I like about you as well is that, you're not just a traditional CEO. You take out these acting roles of sales or, CMO and all these other things, right? Which is super important, right? Because that is the front line of every business, right?
Yeah.
And that's super good to do, right? So that that's excellent, it's really, really good.
Yeah, I try to understand all the details of my business. Who does what, how does something function, what's a good way to do this, right? Not because I want to control it, but because I have so much experience in marketing and working at companies that I've seen the best, I've seen the worst, right? Like being around like, millionaires at 25, 26 years old, seeing how they think, how they move.
Right.
That osmosis, being in that field of energy, that experience comes off to you, rubs off to you, right?
Right.
Like if you look at our website now compared to what it was, it's a marketing machine. Like we're getting 5-10 leads a day.
Yep.
And we're not even, it's only SEO. Imagine when we do ads, when we do more PR, that's starting now soon. Like it's gonna grow, not at 10x, at 5 or 6x. It's that controlled chaos, right? Like we know what's going on. Like I get out of bed every morning. I don't need coffee. I mean, I drink coffee, but I don't need coffee. Like I have so much energy. Right. And it's just about like just managing that energy properly and putting it into the right channels. But the thing is, it's like everyone has to understand what direction the company's moving in, right? Like sometimes, like I had a call a couple of weeks ago with the account managers and it wasn't a nice call. And I told them like, listen, I like being everyone's friend. I like being cool with everyone. But right now I'm talking to you as the CEO of Veza Digital. I am the chief executive of the company. I'm talking to you from Veza Digital standpoint. And this is what's happening. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, all the way to Z. Yep. You guys probably might take it to heart. We can talk about this after, but as Veza, we don't care about your emotions. We don't care about how you feel a certain situation. We care about the success of the company and its growth, right? And if you're going to be an anchor for it, then we're going to cut that chain because Veza doesn't need that, right? One day, Veza's not going to need me, right? It's going to, maybe I'll be an advisor to Veza, but I'm not going to be an acting CEO.
Sure.
Like I'm going to get it to a point where Veza can operate with a CEO who has processes, who has goals, who has his own KPIs that he's being measured. And like, I don't need to be a CEO forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, it's just, I want to start it. I want to get it to a point where it's highly profitable. I want to get it to a point where it's creating its own products through R&D, like what we're doing with Veza White Label Marketplace. And then those are going to be our tickets, right? Like these are the big, once we have a liquidity event with any of our ideas, that's when that whole core team of Veza Digital, that's when the real money making stuff happens, right? And
yeah, totally. I'm super excited about our educational component,
Me too.
I mean, that was awesome how, you flew into California, you went to Hollywood, you banged out... well, tell us about it. I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah, so I had this idea actually 3 years ago to do. Actually, when I was 26, 27, I saw these people, everyone's making money with courses. Everyone's doing millions of dollars a month. And I'm just like, okay, most of it's bullshit, right? Like, I mean, I bought in courses before where I'm like, okay, it could have been done a lot better, whatever. And, at 27, I was making some money. 28, I was making great money. 29, I was making, money. Like it was good. Yep. And now I'm thinking, I'm like, I should do a course. But I always had this inner fear of saying, you're going to get judged. It's not good enough. People are going to buy it and say, oh, this was shit. Like what I did when I bought these courses, right? And like, oh, my karma's going to get me back for the shit talking I was doing. And it's now December. And then some guy named Lucas Spinella, he reached out to me. He has a course agency where he finds influencers, he finds like people of some sort of status, and he makes courses for them or helps them make courses, right? Yep. So he hit me up, and I'm just like, I was just thinking about this. Perfect timing. We had one call. In the first 20 minutes, I knew this is the guy. He was, Founder Magazine in Australia. Mm-hmm. He was making courses for these people as well. So I'm like, hey, this guy has the experience. He has the talk. He might be rough around the edges, but whatever. We'll make it work. He's young. He's hungry. The kind of guys I like. Anyway, so we got started. He made the full course outline. And then at this point, I'm at so it's the F1 in Belgrade. And whatever, watching F1, doing all these things. And then our mutual friend, Angelika, her sister... was dating, or I don't know what's happening with that. I think they're still dating. Vuk Papic, who's obviously the producer for Tobi, for like all these rappers and artists here in Serbia, right? Yep. And with him was my boy Stefan and Sandro. They're both from Toronto, right? And we all met up, and I'm just like, what are the chances of this? Sure. And so I'm talking to Vuk. I'm like, yeah, we want to do a commercial. We want to do all these things. I'm talking to Stefan. I'm like, yeah, I want to do a commercial, and I want to, launch my own course and all these things. And then he's like, yeah, I'm flying back to LA next week. I'm like, interesting. I'm flying back to Toronto in 2 weeks, And I'm thinking, I'm like, hey, well, I don't want to do the commercial now, but I do want to get this course done. So I called Stefan up. I'm like, yo, Steph, I want to go film this course. I want to make a cool introduction video, VSLs, all these things. He's like, yep, great, let's do it. I'm like, perfect. That was done in like 10 minutes, organized, everything was done, right? I call a guy in Australia. It's 2 a.m. for him. I'm like, Lucas, I got good news for you. He's like, yeah, what's up, man? Like all tired and stuff. And he's just like, I'm like, listen, man, I'm flying to LA. We're going to be recording the course there. This guy, once I said that, his energy just fucking, whoom. He's like, what? You're doing what? We're going where? LA. He's like, amazing. I'm going to send you a full shoot outline for tomorrow, production, what it's going to be. He sent me a 2-page doc of like where to sit, how to have the camera set up, a script, everything he did in a matter of a day. That's the power of connections. Right. Like I can pick up my phone and I can call whoever I want in my contact, but to get something done from LA to Australia, to Toronto, to Dubai, to anywhere in Europe, and just get people on. Yep. Just get people, right? And I think that's only going to get better. And so now we had this road trip as well. So I had to like fit this in. I didn't tell Jamal at this point, right? Because, Jamal likes everything to be scheduled and proper. I'm like, I got a surprise. We're actually taking a little detour. So we flew from Toronto to San Francisco. And this is like, and Jamal just arrived like 18 hours before from Thailand. So he was exhausted. This guy was time traveling from one time zone to this time zone back here, like getting shaken up like a meringue, and then,
doing Muay Thai every day for a month straight.
Yeah, just exhausted. And then Jamal, we're flying from Toronto to San Francisco. Luckily, I booked business class so he can sleep and like have the full experience, And so we sat there, 6-hour flight. We get to San Fran, drive to Sacramento for the client on site. We're there. We get back to San Fran. We're there for a night or two, had some meetings there, and then flew to LA. Now, this is where stuff gets fun, I got some friends in LA, so we went out, dinner, drinks, all these things. And then I see Stefan and his buddy, who's also a producer from LA, and we're recording. That was probably the hardest thing I did in my life. Just being in front of a full Hollywood production. Like when I say full, dude, I'm telling you, like camera. These are like, we have like nice, really good iPhones, and we have 2 people working, but there's staff, there's people, there's mic crew, there's makeup, there's this. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. And like the night before I was so confident about it. Stefan calls me. He's like, yeah. I'm like, man, this is my business. I know all the details of my business. Yeah. He's like, all right, man, we'll see. So ends up what happened is we took my laptop and we put it over the camera. So I have something to read, right? And there's like hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment pointing in my direction. And I'm just getting everything recorded. So basically like for the VSL, like a 10-minute video took 3 hours to record.
Right.
So we were there all fucking day, man. I was exhausted. Like I was just like, at the end of that, I went into like deep hibernation. I went to sleep that night at like 11 o'clock, woke up the next morning at like 10 a.m.
Sure.
And I'm just like, damn, that was an experience and a half. But I was happy I did it because, you got to take advantage of these opportunities. Absolutely. You got to give value to the people around you. And yeah, we flew to New York after.
So tell us about the point of the educational series.
The point of the educational series is we have a lot of people who are aspiring to start some sort of agency, whether it's design agency, marketing agency, sales agency, whatever, right? As you know, I've been through all of it. I've built a lot of processes. We've made a lot of money. We've lost a lot of money. I've dealt with a lot of different people. So I understand now the systems and process that has to get into place. So I decided to create a course to help these newcomers with setting up their own agency.
Right.
Right. And I recorded all this content. I put everything I know inside of a document, and I just started recording. I started doing everything. So I want to give people an opportunity to have, instead of learning on their own, I can shave, a couple months, maybe a year or two off of their learning process and just give them access to me. Because really what they're paying for is access to me and our team.
Yep.
We have the process. They're always getting updated. We have the network effect as well. So when these startup agencies need a fulfillment partner for their service, they can work with us or they can work with someone else in the white label marketplace, right? Sure. So it was a really good move because now we're dealing with two sides of the market: the big agencies, mid-market to enterprise, and the startups, right? Teaching these people to get to this level and giving these people, an opportunity to offload some of their available talent and capacity to these people to white label, right? So there's never a loss in revenue or money, and you're giving these people an opportunity. So
perfect. The
education side was a big move for me because, one, I like talking. Yep. I like telling stories. I like, if someone's willing to show up for me and want to learn, I'll teach them. You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing, I have a lot of conversations with people. Like, actually, when I was in Dubai, this is the best example. We're in Dubai. I'm driving on the Palm. I'm whipping the Ferrari, and I see this Lambo pull up behind me. I'm just like, this guy wants to go, I have I'm whipping the F8 Tributo, V8 twin turbo, 720 horsepower. He's driving a Huracan, right? And there's another car behind him too, a Huracan that pulled up. And I'm driving, I see they're pulling up beside me. I'm just like, oh man, I gotta do this again, Put in race mode. I'm gunning it. They're gunning it. We're in tunnels. I'm downshifting. They're downshifting. I'm like, oh, these guys want to have fun. This is nice. So we get to the end of the Palm. I make a left turn. And I see this parking lot opening. I'm like, let me pull up here. They're probably gonna pull up behind me if they want to have fun. I pull up. I get out of the car. I walk by the tires. You can make a barbecue on that thing, man. They were so sticky. You couldn't touch the rims or the brakes. Crazy. Everything was so hot. Yeah. They get out too, and they're like, "Oh man, that was so much fun. What's up? What's up?" I hear an East Coast accent. I'm like, perfect. My kind of people. Yeah. And yeah, it ended up being they were e-commerce. They have an e-commerce agency, and they're basically selling direct consumer products with their agency. They've been doing it for 3 years. They're making a killing. It's a small, nimble team of 10 people, and they came to Dubai because they just registered their agency there. Nice. And now they spent some time there, so they were there for a little bit longer than me. And that day, they decided to go on a road trip and explore Dubai in Lamborghinis. And so we met. And it was that network effect, Sure. So now when we need a white label agency to do e-commerce marketing, direct consumer, I know who to call. Absolutely. And same thing for them. And so
that's awesome.
It's how it goes. And when you talk to these people, here's the thing. I'll be in a room with people who want to learn a certain skill and or they're at my level in terms of not money. They don't know how much money I make. I can make $1 a month. I can make, $100,000 a month. I don't measure myself like that. Yep. But then when these people now are coming and talking to me, and I know I have more experience, but I see ego is getting in the way. Yep. I'm just like, you know what? It's better I just shut the fuck up, and it's better I just sit back and say, yes, that's right, you're right. Because people like that, they learn on their own. They learn through their own through their ego by becoming humble. Sure. And that's actually one of the themes I was talking about with that guy in the Lambo. It's how we built this e-commerce agency. He's like, yeah, I just surround myself with people who are humble, who wanted to learn, and I had really good mentors. And when someone told me some good advice related to my business, I would listen to it. I wouldn't go and diminish it. And so that was eye-opening to me to see meeting people at my level. Not money-wise, but just what we accomplished, Of course, yeah. And then there's a certain synergy that actually happens as well, right? Exactly. You don't have to talk about basic things. You're talking about more advanced things, Exactly. It's like playing chess, when you play chess against a master, there's no beginner moves. There's no beginner. There's 2 moves and you're done.
Cool, man. Well, that's great. I think we covered some of it. We'll do this again, probably every 3-4 months or whatever. But yeah, excited about what's happening at Veza Digital, excited about the market, excited about the courses, excited about the white label, but a lot of the stuff, So it's going to be a really, really good year. 23 is going to be the best year yet in terms of finances, but also in terms of fun, I think, which is crazy because most companies are not going to say that, right? But we're going to try to provide as much value as possible to all our partners. And have fun doing it, right? Because that's what it's all about.
I think it's all about having the fun doing it, and the partners have to feel that fun.
Cool. Awesome.
That's the key. Cool, Mario.
All right, man.
All right.